ready?
Good news, everyone!
I'm the surprise in your cereal box. I'm
great! Everybody else sucks!
I said, are you ready?
Yes, sir, random kid I just met.
It's Jake Ciely.
Hooray! People are paying attention to me.
That's right! You're always blaming me!
So, my reputation exceeds me.
It's time to check the link.
Oh, wait, you serious? Let me laugh even harder.
You know what? You just made the list.
It's all in football.
Sure, we talk about it all the time.
Really?
No, burn.
What is up, you ducks? It's all in football. A special time again for a full show, as you can see, with Chris that side, Chris Meaney, and Lauren down there. I went to go that way.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
Do it every time.
Welcome,
Different
Canadian friends on Game Plus. As I'm sure you've got plenty of Chris Meaney, which you should be checking out over at FTN and dangle bets and Ciely and get a T-shirt and get all his hockey picks and make sure you bet the over and goals allowed by Igor Shitskirkin. Just so you know. Anyway.
Every time I hear that name, all I can think about is because my neighbor said it. He's like, did he just say she's twerking? And so every time I hear she's twerking, I hear she's twerking.
The Rangers are fantastic, so Jake doesn't have too much to complain about with this hockey squad.
And it's not shit twerking.
Top 5 goalie this year. He's not even top 5.
It'll be all right. He'll turn it up in the second half.
Yeah, sure.
And I didn't even want to talk about Ryan O'Reilly, so I'm glad we glanced over that.
See, perfectly. Yeah. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Everybody's like tuning in and be like, what the hell is this hockey garbage? That's what I check out for Meaney for. That's
Ryan O'Reilly.
I know, right? Rhino Raleigh? That's a superhero? So
he's a rhino now.
We're going to talk what we've been talking about. Way too early rankings, but we're also going to get into some other biggest news. Actually, like just what I want to start with. I am sitting over here. I'm sure this doesn't surprise you. Doesn't surprise anybody who watches the show, listens to the podcast. By the way, I know it's like the times are different and people don't watch as much. Still, please like rate and review and subscribe and all that type of stuff because we don't want to die in the off season. I know football, thank you for the heart there from Lauren. So make sure, especially because there's going to be a brief time off where you're not even going to get this show because I'm going to be in Mexico. So on the honeymoon. Oh, marriage license. We got it yesterday. Got like
wow, it's all happening. It's all happening.
I didn't know you had to do the swearing thing when you get the marriage license.
Oh yeah,
yeah. And then she asked a second question where it's like, by the way, they ask if you're related. So like, they go through this whole list of like all the things you're not to be. But I was like, how she phrased it, I was like, no, yes, no, I'm not any. No, I'm not any of those things. Like I didn't know how to answer it. She's like, you're good. So anyway. That was a quick sidebar. The thing that I'm getting hung up on here, like you guys know this, Giants fan, the Barkley jersey, this. So right now, the Giants are in a position where Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley, out there free agency. The Barkley tag is 10 million. The Daniel Jones conversation is 30 to 37-ish. He seems like the range. He switched agents, which now makes it seem like he might get slapped with the franchise tag because they can't keep him long-term because he's not happy with what the Giants are coming with. He wants 40, whatever it might be said. I want to get your guys' opinion because mine is, and everybody will not be shocked by this, is if you can't work out the long-term deal with Barkley at like 12, 13 a year, which I already went on the rant of like the fact that mediocre wide receivers get paid that. But still, if they can't work that out, you slap the franchise 10 million. You're slapping a franchise tag on Saquon Barkley, but that lets Daniel Jones go out there. Chris, here's my opinion. Fine. Go let somebody else pay him $40 million a year. If Derek Carr goes to the Jets, figure out something with Jimmy Garoppolo and go back to it. Don't make the mistake of going overboard and slapping the franchise tag on Daniel Jones and then risk letting Barkley walk, which is a big key to Daniel Jones and this offensive success. Like, if you're going to tell me one of them is going to get to walk for free agency and see what's out there, let it be Daniel Jones. Am I crazy? Am I overrating the running back position and my love of Saquon Barkley?
No, I don't think so. It can really put a dent on your team and what you want to do moving forward if you pay a quarterback $40 million that you're really just unsure about. Like, he's had one good season. He had a great season. It was nice to see him have a good season, but he also wasn't the guy. Brian Daboll didn't take the job because Daniel Jones is a quarterback, and guarantee you that. He made it work. He can make a lot of things work with different quarterbacks. So I think I agree. Like, have Saquon, franchise tag him, and don't strap yourself moving forward. Yeah, if you can't make something work, I'm sure he wants something long term. There are some reports you just kind of alluded to it, 40+ million. That's a lot. That's a lot of bucks. If they can't make it work long term at a reasonable price, I would just move on.
Real quick before we get to Lauren for the follow-up question, because I want Lauren to answer the same things. If they can get something worked out with Saquon Barkley and Daniel Jones is still digging in his heels, would you franchise him knowing that all that $34 million is going straight against the cap this 1 year? Like, there's, for everybody out there, I'm not talking down to anybody, like, they might not know. Franchise tag, it all hits the cap. They work out a long-term deal, guarantee money, bonuses, all that type of stuff is going to structure differently. The $34 million is not, even if they paid him $34 million per year for 4 years, it wouldn't be a hard 34 against this year's cap. Would you slap the franchise on Daniel Jones if they get Saquon Barkley worked out?
I mean, if I were any part of the Giants organization, I would do a firm, hard no. Like, let it go. Let it go. I mean, I don't want to really bring in the Frozen song, but I mean, there it is. I think there are better options out there that you can work with. I think the Daniel Jones experiment is limping along. It's not really going anywhere fast. And if you want to be a winning organization, you have to keep those good guys that are with you. And that is going to be Saquon Barkley no matter what. So I think out of the two, just to answer the earlier question, absolutely you're not being a homer right now with your love of Saquon Barkley and the Giants. I think it is wise, the smartest decision to do whatever it is humanly possible to keep Saquon Barkley. I don't even know if I would put a franchise tag on Daniel Jones. I mean, I might just want to save that money for a wide receiver. Just, tackle on a little happy sprinkle.
Oh, you're not enamored with the Wan'Dale Robinson plus question mark of wide receivers?
I mean, it's not ideal. It's not ideal. And I mean, I don't hate Daniel Jones. There is potential there, but I just wonder if he would be better suited in a different system, a different organization. Maybe the flashes of the good things we've seen, some of his mobility could be better utilized in a different way than I think that they've tried to do it with him so far with the Giants. So I honestly would like to see Daniel Jones go. And I no matter what, keep Saquon Barkley.
Wow.
It would be,
I'm just kidding. It makes no sense.
Not even a touchdown per game. I joked and said, his contract should be incentive only, $1 million per touchdown pass. There you go.
Right. Yeah. It's crazy. This time last year, we were thinking, oh, this is it. It's going to be 1 year. And it started off so bad. I mean, don't you remember there was like on the sidelines, Dable's like yelling at Jones, like, what are you doing? What are you thinking? It's like, wow, this is not going to go well. But good coaching. I think ideally, Jake, Lauren's probably right. But ideally, you have something here with Saquon. You lock him up long term. That's your guy, right? Running backs don't matter, yada, yada. He's a good running back. He's great. So you lock him up. You have your franchise back, face of the organization. And then you have Daniel Jones franchise tag for 1 year to see. Prove it. You want to get paid? Here you go. Here's another year for you. We'll surround you around other weapons. This is year 2 with Brian Dable. Then you'll have that good feeling that you won't have that mistake. Because if he's awful, then that's it. See you later. And you didn't waste all that money. That's what I think the Giants should do.
And the Galladay anchor is still around his neck for 1 more year. Go ahead, Lauren.
No, I was just going to attack onto that. There's something intangible about Saquon Barkley that I think Daniel Jones doesn't have, and that's leadership. That is, as you mentioned, the face of the franchise. That is, when you think of the Giants, I don't think of Daniel Jones. I think of Saquon Barkley. I mean, that is the face. He brings something so existential to that organization that I don't think that they can in a moral sense, be able to afford losing Saquon Barkley. So it's not just about the money or about the talent. It's also about everything else that he brings to the table.
It's that soft leadership that Eli Manning was, where it was like they needed somebody else along with like a Strahan for a while. Like there's somebody else besides Eli, because it's that softer demeanor that, although you see him on the show with his brother, it seems completely different. Like so much more fun and vocal and flashing the finger to your team, Meaney. So like
I know
it's all good. So then I'm going to phrase this next question and tie it into fantasy. Both of you, again, if you're in this position, let's go talk about the Jets, who, by the way, I don't know if everybody saw that on Twitter yesterday. They were talking about the teams ranked in order, who the fan percentage thinks there's the most basically lies and tricks and stuff going on. Like basically the NFL is rigged concept. The Cowboys are near the top, the Packers, Seahawks, like the Jets are bottom. And somebody joked like the Jets fans have just been defeated. They don't even care anymore. Like the league's not even against us. We just suck. So, but here's where I want to go with this, Lauren. Right now, we know they're looking for a new quarterback. There's been plenty of talk about Aaron Rodgers. There's the now new talk of Derek Carr is a quarterback, NFL MVP, Super Bowl winning leadership, blah, blah, blah.
Future Hall of Famer.
Yes. If he's on this team. But I'm going to phrase it a little bit differently. If you're the Jets, but with a fantasy mind, and here's how I'm going to turn it, is like if you're in an auction, if you're in a snake draft and you're sitting there like, ooh, maybe I can get a top 7 quarterback, but somebody just threw out Derek Carr. I know I can lock in my auction guy for like $3 or wait and hope I get Justin Fields at like 20, or maybe people overpay. Like it kind of like do you take the bird in the hand, which is Derek Carr, or do you hold out hope for the higher ceiling? Whether or not you agree Aaron Rodgers at this point in his career is the higher ceiling, I think most people still would. But if you're the Jets, if you're fantasy, do you kind of just say, you know what, I'm going to get my guy and not play games because I don't want to be left if Derek Carr goes to Indianapolis, we don't get Aaron Rodgers, and now it's like I hit the basement. Like, where am I going?
I still think I'm going to hold out. As of this recording or live date, I'm holding out. I don't know. I've just had so many seasons of like just excitement surrounding Derek Carr, and last season was one of them when he was getting Javonte Adams, and like he's not terrible, but I don't know. Like you mentioned Justin Fields, I'd much rather have Justin Fields than Derek Carr.
This is a guy that could take an L on Derek Carr.
Here's what I was going to say, Lauren. Let's say
you can slap that L on my face.
I
know, me too.
You thought he was going to be huge last year?
I thought he's I
think the vast majority was. He was coming off 4,800 yards without Davante Adams.
Yeah, and throwing to who? Like Hunter Renfrow. Yeah. Henry Ruggs had some off-field issues. Zay Jones was his number 1 for a long time.
Issues. Yeah, he got it.
Yeah,
half a season.
Putting it lightly. Yeah.
That was the 3 for 30 on him. It was very brief. So I'm going to come back, Lauren. If you knew you couldn't get Derek Carr, so it's Aaron Rodgers, or you don't get Aaron Rodgers trade, and so you have to go pay Daniel Jones $40 a year because you don't want to be left with nothing. Would you still hold out hope? Would you still wait for Aaron Rodgers, or would you say, no, we're going to make Derek Carr happen?
I think I might make Derek Carr happen in that case.
I got it.
It's such a fine line, right? There's so many if this, then that. I
think,
of
course.
Yeah. The first one I liked a little better. The second one, I'm like, ooh.
Meaney, would you chase or get worried about left holding the bag like that?
Yeah, I might chase a little bit. I think last year will be an outlier for Derek Carr. Like he's had some pretty good seasons. He's been a very accurate quarterback basically his whole career. When it was the Oakland Raiders, he had MVP votes that year. He had Crabtree and Cooper. Like he is a very accurate quarterback, but I worry about him maybe with the Jets. Am I looking into it too much, Jake? He doesn't have a strong history of playing in cold weather scenarios.
That's the big one that everybody keeps bringing up.
You got to bring it up because he's going to have to go and play in New England, of course, at home in New Jersey. It's going to be chilly. Buffalo, like Derek Carr in Buffalo in December. I don't know, man. Like that's going to be great for him. So that's why I think this is a long, drawn out process. Like his brother David said on NFL Network the other day, I think 1, the offer's probably not that good. 2, he's thinking, do I want to be inside the AFC, inside that division? So I do have some concerns if he is a Jet, although he's set up to have some success there because of that squad's on the rise.
Let me turn this a little differently towards you guys real quick and kind of throw this out there. So there is a quarterback in next year's draft class, which is among the Trevor Lawrence, Caleb Williams, if anybody doesn't know. This is the current, this is Trevor Lawrence. This is once every 10 years. Of course, Trevor Lawrence happened a lot sooner, but you get the point. Like get ready for the generational word to get thrown out a ton next year. This is as a lock as of today, and things have changed before. I mean, you can go back to Spencer Rattler, who was going to be a guaranteed number 1 quarterback, and now this dude's still not even relevant. So I say this to say, Chris, like as of right now, there's a tank for 2024 draft kind of thought process out there. Spin it a different way. If you're the Jets or the Colts or somebody like that, or even the Texans, and then they pass in a court, would you just say, you know what, we're going to take it on the chin for 1 more year and go after Williams with trade back in the draft to make sure you get the draft capital in case you end up like 6 and 11 and you have the 5th pick or the 7th pick or something, so you can trade back up. But point being, would you go get the Derek Carr? Would you go stick with the Daniel Jones, or would you take it on the chin and be like, you know what, I'm not screwing around with this anymore. I want the home run quarterback.
Yeah, I think if I'm the Jets, I'm probably, taking it on the chin and looking at the big picture. As Derek Carr is not a franchise quarterback. Can he get you into the postseason? Maybe. He can maybe get you in the playoffs, but I don't believe all the hype. I watched NFL Live yesterday, and I forget who said it, but the Jets organization, as you kind of alluded to earlier, they just pumped his tires. Listen, you come here, you're going to win multiple Super Bowls, you're going to be first ballot Hall of Famer, yada, yada, yada. Like, I don't believe in any of that. And the Jets are on their way, but they're not. Derek Carr, like Aaron Rodgers would. If you could get Aaron Rodgers, mind you, you're probably going to have to trade some pieces to get Aaron Rodgers. So you're going to lose some of those picks. You're officially all in. If you can just sign Derek Carr, it's kind of like a stop back quarterback. You know what I mean? He's just for the time being. But is he your franchise guy? No. And you're inside the AFC with like 10 unbelievable quarterbacks, at least 5, and 2 good ones inside that division. I still think 2 is good, and Josh Allen. So even with Derek Carr as a Jet, don't even know if they're a playoff team. But
here's my one counter
argument. Find a guy. Let's just find a guy. You want the first overall pick next year? Play Zach Wilson for 16 games.
Well, of course. Well, 17. Yeah. So there you go. So I will say. So this is something that, and not to be like, oh, I did a podcast with D'Angelo Williams, but it's a former NFL player. He's always said like tanking's impossible because you can't. You're not. This is what he said. Even if you can get the coaches on board with the front office, who their jobs are on the line, but if the front office said you're safe, you can go 0-17. You're keeping your job. You are safe because we want to tank. You're still not going to get the players to tank because it's there's careers, salaries, and all that type of stuff. But all that being said, let me kind of turn it a different way, Lauren. The Derek Carr right now, is he too much different than 3-4 years ago, Matt Ryan, who, by the way, Super Bowl in hand, if not for the biggest destruction blow up in the Super Bowl history. So, Lauren, is there a case to say, you know what, let's just see what we get out of Derek Carr versus we might even get the number 1 pick?
See, I see where you're coming from, Meaney, about you're taking it on the chin by getting Derek Carr. I think that's what you were trying to say. I wasn't exactly sure.
I think by not getting Derek Carr.
Okay.
One more year.
I'm actually going to go something a little different here. You had brought up the Texans, Jake. And I think that is a team that can definitely afford to just be like, we need to do a lot of restructuring across the board, and we need to strengthen our team. Let's take 2023, figure out what we need, bolster what we can in free agency, figure out what we need to do in this year's draft, and then be prepared to go, balls to the wall for that quarterback in 2024. I think the Texans are set up for that very well. I even think the Colts might be in that position as well. I don't think the Jets are in that category, mostly because I don't think that they need to wait another year. They already have the offensive rookie of the year, the defensive rookie of the year. Like, they've got a lot of really good pieces, an excellent running game. And if they want to go ahead and make a huge playoff push now, I think that they're going to have to make whatever sacrifices within reason they can to get a playoff caliber quarterback now. Is that Derek Carr? Could be, but is anyone else that's available going to be more expensive? Like you brought up Aaron Rodgers. Are they going to have to, cut off their nose to spite their face if it's an Aaron Rodgers? But if they can get someone like Derek Carr that's within reason, who is a seasoned veteran, who is a good piece in that locker room, who has been around the block, granted, cold weather is going to be an issue, but they do have a running game to speak of. I think that that's something that could work for Derek Carr if they just understand that they are going to have to game plan and scheme around his biggest weaknesses, which right now what we're talking about, that is going to be the cold. So if that just means we're not flinging the rock when it gets chilly or we're in Buffalo or whatever, I think that they can make that happen. But I think Derek Carr going to the Jets, the more I'm incubating it in my mind and listening to y'all talk, I think that would be a good fit in the context of what this argument is. And I think absolutely the Texans should take the 2023 season and figure out what they're doing with their lives. Colts are right behind them. So they need to shore up a lot of spots across the board on their team, in the organization, in the front office. They need so many things to change that I think they need a whole entire year and a whole entire season to make that happen. So the Texans and the Colts, in my opinion, I think are out on picking up someone like Derek Carr, picking up those pieces. Absolutely the Colts. Absolutely the Texans. I could be talked into the Colts because they have some good pieces like Jonathan Taylor. But I don't know. I think Derek Carr going to the Jets is something that I think would be choice for 2023. That would actually give them a solid opportunity for a run. Obviously, knock on wood, barring health.
To go back to all this, I'm not sure that Aaron Rodgers goes anywhere because we've been doing this for how many years now?
I think he just stays in his darkness retreat.
That's what I said. Like and who wants to give up the as you mentioned what you're going to have to look at the Russell Wilson trade, and he like face palmed last year. Or face planted, I should say. Both face palm too. But anyway, that trade is a blueprint. Even if you pull off one of the draft picks, I mean, you're still giving up multiple draft picks plus players. Like I just don't know that it happens.
A year or two.
I know. And what I was going to say is, what this kind of leaves out, like that. This is going to be musical chairs. I have a feeling the Raiders are going to be like, maybe we shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about all of this, we're mentioning teams, and the Raiders seem like one of those teams that may just quote unquote take it on the chin. Like it's Josh McDaniels' first year didn't work out. What are they going to do? They're going to get Rodgers and they're going to be a Super Bowl contender? No chance. Not with that defense being as atrocious as it is, and the division that they play in. I don't even know if they'd be the second best team inside that division if they had Aaron Rodgers. And I think the one team that comes to mind, Jake, Carolina. Maybe they're just a team that's like, we're not good enough. We're not in on Rodgers. We're not in on Rodgers. We're not going to get, Young or Stroud.
Here's how you know, real quick, not to cut you off. Here's how you know Carolina might be thinking exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
Interested to see what Baker Mayfield's thinking this offseason. That's all I need to know right there. Like, and maybe we just bring it back for one more year.
Bring Baker for a year or Sam for a year again. I don't know, but you're not going to get the two top quarterbacks
that you just dealt with.
Yeah, I don't know. It's pretty bad, but you're looking long term. You're getting yourself a franchise quarterback because they're not going to compete. They're not getting Rodgers. They're not interested in Derek Carr apparently, and they're not getting the two top quarterbacks in Stroud and Young. What are they doing? What do they do in the quarterback position? Nothing. Probably nothing good.
And most mock drafts don't even have them taking Will Levis or Anthony Richardson.
Like an offensive lineman.
I've seen a handful of Anthony Richardsons out there, but that'll be interesting to see. By the way, if you're watching live, we are doing this random, like, oh my God, there's an intro in the middle of the show. We're not going anywhere again. This is what happens at this time of year. So behind the scenes, peek of the curtain. So the next episode, depending on how you're watching this, we're going to talk all about these running backs, way too early rankings. But before to set that one up, and we can finish this show, quote unquote, with this one, Mr. Chris Meaney. Is Christian McCaffrey the clear number one? Like, is it just done? Running backs only. Is he the number one running back? We really don't have an open discussion at this point.
Yeah, he's number one. I can't imagine anyone making a case for anybody else. Maybe Eckler. Like, Eckler had a really good season, but Christian McCaffrey, what he did in San Fran, I think we touched on it last week, is just like a match made in heaven. Unbelievable. Just the way that Kyle Shanahan utilizes below average running backs and they have great games in his system. And now we have CMC, and we saw it. He's like touchdown per game. If he wasn't doing a whole lot on the ground, he was doing it through the air. Yeah, he's clearly number one, and I don't think there's really any debate. And people are worried about health. You passed on him last year, and it seemed to be a mistake.
Okay, well, I lied. We're going to keep rolling through. Thanks to Fox. There you go. Wonderful production in the background. So, Lauren, Christian McCaffrey, can we move to the next topic? Clear 1-1 of running backs?
I think that's easy. Unless you want to be like real cantankerous and say something else. I don't know why you would, but
Just the biggest debate is CMC or Justin Jefferson.
I mean, that is it, but we're talking just really running back. So no, there's not even a question. Yeah.
Okay. So now let me come to you with this question. You're on the clock next year. You have to make the choice between these two running backs. Totally different scenarios, but I think this is going to be an interesting conversation people have with themselves. That's not even the best grammar, but you get the point. When it comes to next year, we just talked the Colts. We talked the Colts being potentially blow it up team for one more year, just kind of middling around. It's not a lot of pieces outside of, Michael Pittman, Jonathan Taylor. You can say Alec Pierce in a second year, but questions on defense. They have some pieces. They just don't have enough. So do you want Jonathan Taylor returning from injury on that team? The offensive line is still solid, not great. Or do you want one more year of Derrick Henry, knowing these total touches are really starting to rack up? Like, I wrote about it last year saying, let's not forget the first two seasons he split with DeMarco Murray and Dion Lewis. Remember those names? Those were like, he wasn't full seasons, but now we're getting to the point where he has hit that number. He has hit that workload career number in the NFL where it's like, he's a freak of nature, but he just finally missed the game. Is it coming? So would you take Jonathan Taylor on the Colts, or would you take Derrick Henry for one more year if you're in drafts next year?
That's so tough. Honestly, I think I might lean Jonathan Taylor, and then I blink my eyes, and then I'm like, no, I'm leaning Derrick Henry. I'd flip a coin, like put their faces up on a dartboard, close your eyes and throw. I don't know. I think I really want to say Jonathan Taylor, but my gut is telling me to go with Derrick Henry. He did miss a game. Jonathan Taylor missed a lot of time. I really don't know what's going on with the Indianapolis Colts. So what's going to sway me in the direction of Derrick Henry is going to be a little bit more solidarity among that team, a little bit more organized. And I know his role and I know what he is capable of doing. I'm all about that. So very, very close, but I think I'm going to lean Derrick Henry simply because Titans versus Colts. I'm going to lean Titans. Hashtag analysis.
It is tough. It is really tough. I mean, because you got two brutal teams, and there's so much uncertainty at the quarterback position. What do the Titans do? Do they bring back Tannehill one more time? Clearly, Malik Willis is not ready. They showed us that last year that he's not ready. I think I'd lean Taylor and the younger back, the fresher back. The offensive line in Indy did not play good. That was supposed to be one of their strengths. It was not good at all. I know Steichen came in and said that, when his first press conference, he said that the team is going to be aggressive. They're going to try to throw to get the lead and run clocks out. That's kind of what he did in Philadelphia, but that's easy to say when you don't know who your quarterback is, and it's most likely going to be a rookie quarterback. I probably lean Taylor. It is really close, but one thing I still think that Henry does have another top 5 season in him.
And I think it might be his last one. That's kind of like, I would have FOMO.
Yeah.
I'd be like, I had one last shot to have that Derrick Henry.
Third in fantasy points per game.
Exactly. And we keep saying it, that it's one more year and it's one more year. And he came off the foot injury. It's like nobody wants him.
It was Frank Gore. One more year.
Oh my gosh, yes.
But the touches are still there. He's still very efficient. 4.3, 4.4 last 2 years, double-digit touchdowns, again last year. And what I really like from him, Jake, which I think separates it for me, is that when we were debating these two backs maybe last year, we were looking at Taylor 50 grabs and we're looking at Henry like, maybe he'll catch 15 passes. The guy had 33 catches last year and 41 targets in 16 games. There's not a lot of weapons in Tennessee. I'm sure they're going to try to bring somebody in through the draft or sign a guy to try to replace AJ. They just let Robert Woods go. Like, my goodness, I just don't have a lot going on there. That Henry's just the heartbeat of this offense, and you can probably bank on him to catch another 30 passes, and that's pretty appealing. I think they learned over the past couple of years. Give this guy a screen pass at least once per half, and good luck tackling him.
It gives him time to actually create the steamrolling momentum that is Derrick Henry. It gives him that 3-step jump. It's all he needs, and then try to tackle him. It's just not possible. He just steamrolls through people. You can get him at the line of scrimmage if you're lucky.
And I'm not built like an NFL corner, but I swear to God, if I was, and Derrick Henry's already got steam coming at me, I am going to try a chip tackle at him. I'm going to fall right off.
Of course, it's the only way that you could do it.
No way. I mean, my career or getting this tackle.
There's just something about Derrick Henry that is so larger than life. My husband and I went to Nashville. We saw a Tennessee Titans game, and we were close, but not super duper close, nor were we far. We have decent seats, thank you, Vivid Seats, very much. Hashtag you can become my sponsor if you want. But literally all the players are running out. They're running out on the field, and it's like, wait, yay. And then this monster emerges from somewhere, and it's Derrick Henry. I'm like, that's a human being? That looks like a fake robot. That's how big Derrick Henry is. It's crazy. It is crazy in real life to see him compared to normal humans. Messed up. I would not want to be on a defense opposing Derrick Henry.
Normal humans is not the thing.
So, Jake, you were in on him last year. When people made these, had this debate. You were in, worked out. Are you in again? What about you? What do you say
versus Taylor?
Guys? Yeah.
So as of today, I lean Taylor, but I want to know what the answer is for the Titans at quarterback.
Me too.
I'm a Malik Willis guy. Everybody should know that. I don't think he's been given a fair shake with that team. He definitely, this is coming from somebody who said he should sit all of 2023. But if you were going to throw him in there, again, this goes back to my argument for Jalen Hurts and Justin Fields. Don't throw him in there with the offense meant for a different quarterback and different quarterback style. Stop trying to make these quarterbacks run somebody. And I don't mean just specifically that kind for anybody who wants to read into that. It's just those quarterbacks. I don't want Daniel Jones running the Ryan Tannehill. Well, maybe 5 years ago, Ryan Tannehill offense, but you get my point. I don't want Daniel Jones running the Matt Ryan offense. I want my quarterback's offenses designed for the quarterback. It's not going to set them up for success. And also, you talked about the weapons of the Titans didn't really set anybody up for much success. But Traylon Burks another year. Depends on what they do. If they bring back Tannehill, yeah, sure, because it's just going to be Derrick Henry 8 billion times.
Exactly. I would
if
like
it's Malik
that
Willis, I lean a little bit because Malik Willis, I don't know how many dump offs, even though it's only 33. I'd probably lean back towards Taylor. And if they go Josh Dobbs, Taylor, like I just like it's basically, that's gonna be if Jimmy Garoppolo, we can go back to Derrick Henry, like something like that is like if they think that they're still playoff contenders. All right, so in a different facet, we were going to get to rookies kind of down the road, but I do want to answer Mark Carr's question because he says, is there any chance that Bijan Robinson, depending on where he lands, could be a top 5 running back? So I will say very limited. But Chris, your team is one of those opportunities. I think. Does everybody know the depth chart right now of the Eagles' backfield? It is Kenny Gainwell. It is Trey Sermon. And is there even a third, Chris?
Trey Sermon. No, like that's it. Like Miles Sanders would have to take a hometown discount as a Philly pit boy, which I don't think will happen. I think he definitely wants to be an Eagle. He's expressed that.
I know everybody's going to say Dolphins, but like. The problem is Bijan Robinson on the Dolphins, and then can I wait to see that they don't add 15 more running backs by opening day?
Right. And I mean, if you're following Mike McDaniel in the short year, you can just go back and link him to Shanahan. These guys have been together forever, back in Atlanta, Washington. It's not just San Fran. Like these guys have been together. He has learned under Shanahan. What does Shanahan do? He's got himself CMC. He still used Elijah Mitchell last year when he had CMC. He's used multiple running backs. And last year, how many did they sign? You're right. I mean, they had Gaskin on the squad. They brought in Mostert. They traded for Jeff Wilson. They still
had Salvon Ahmed on there too. Like,
they had a bunch. They still think there's one more that they had that I can't remember as well.
Chase Edmonds was on there too.
It's like all these dudes that they had on their squad. And then you draft a guy like that. I think Miami or Philly, you could maybe make the case for top 5. I don't know if the Eagles go that route at 10. I don't think they do it. It doesn't seem like something Philly would do. Harry Roseman's a guy that likes to. No, he likes to draft a guy.
I got one for you
on the line of scrimmage. That's what he's gonna do.
Cut Mixon and sign Bijan or draft Bijan Robinson. But here's the problem. This has already been pointed out. Like we talked about the Joe Mixon contract. Like this actually got broken down on The Athletic. The Joe Mixon cutting him for salary actually doesn't look as great as it does on. Like people are all throwing out his net sunk cost. But if you look at the dead cap and what it actually does to, it's almost makes more sense for them to just kind of like restructure, like here's the bonus money type of thing. Because anyway, so I don't know that what happens. And I'm like looking down this list, Dallas, which we're going to talk about somebody in a second here. Dallas gets rid of Zeke finally, and then doesn't bring back Tony Pollard because off injury, and they draft Bijan Jerry Jones.
Yeah,
that wouldn't Bijan Robinson. Like Bijan Robinson. Lauren, on the Cowboys, top 5. Would you draft him top 5?
Without Zeke and no Tony Pollard?
Yeah.
Yes, I would.
Yeah. Dallas would be a good one because the line's still good. Philly, the line is going to be still good. Those are 2 teams, and even Miami, but you're right. If they probably would bring somebody else. But those are the 3 teams I think would be you'd have to start thinking of him as a top 5 guy.
I'd be very hesitant.
They got White still in the squad. Line is no good.
Yeah. I'm trying to think like anybody else. But anyway, all right, so let's talk Zeke because I did want to talk Zeke. The reports today, depending on when you're listening to this, of February 22nd, 2023. Lots of 2s in there. So the report today is a lot of people think the best is behind him, Lauren. And we've kind of talked about that in fantasy terms. It's like this isn't the Zeke from 4 years ago, but the goal line opportunities, the offense, his usage, they just don't stop. And he doesn't come off the field unless a major injury, as we've seen. Do you think this is it? Are we done with Zeke? Are they going to move on from him unless he takes a pay cut, which he said he's willing to do, which makes me feel like he kind of knows the writing on the wall.
Yeah.
But if cut, does he even end up on the team? Like, let's put it this, let me actually just even rephrase this question for you, Lauren, as I'm going through it and say this. Zeke on any other 31 teams in the NFL, does he even have the value he's had with the Cowboys?
I think he could get very, very close, but it would have to be a very good landing spot. There would have to be so many different things that happen in the offseason for him to kind of even peek at what we know and what we have come to expect from Zeke. If he stays with the Cowboys and does take a pay cut, like you guys have said, he's expressed that he's willing to do. I still don't mind drafting Zeke, but obviously we're not drafting him as that bell cow anymore because of this relationship that we've seen grow. And you and I talked about this many, many times at the beginning, actually the end of the previous season, beginning of last season, about just how smart it is for these organizations to use 2 running backs, because we do have an extra week, and because of just the wear and tear, the ground and pound that these players have to go through week in and week out. It makes sense that you're going to kind of scale back a little bit from a bell cow. Not everyone is Derrick Henry. Like, I don't think anyone in the world has ever come close to what monstrous human he is. He's a beast. He's literally King Henry the Beast. So, I mean, if he gets cut, I would be very wary, and it would have to be the perfect landing spot. Right now, I don't really know of one off the top of my head. There would have to be other moves. There'd have to be other changes, because right now there's not. It would have to be something catastrophic that happened.
Here's one I got for you,
to have it work.
Miami. You're thinking about Miami.
No.
Oh my God,
I was gonna say,
no.
How frustrated would you be if they pulled the DeMarco Murray and brought him in the reverse?
I don't want any part
and
of
you got.
I don't want any part of Zeke. That's it. Don't know. Oh God, it's sick to my stomach just thinking about it. Yeah, I think he's pretty much done, and it's tough to say that, but what do we know about this sport? I mean, we've all been covering it for a long time, and from a fantasy angle, that's what we're trying to look at here. You sometimes just hit a wall.
Like all I see is timeshares if he's not on this team. Well, even with this team.
Timeshare with the team, timeshare with another team. You're right. He's gonna have to take the pay cut if he wants to be a Cowboy. He's gonna have to. You got to think about the big picture here in Dallas's window and going on a legit run. The NFC is completely wide open. You got to take a pay cut and you got to make it all fit. But
you know what team would make a ton of sense?
They're not great.
A ton of sense if they weren't always $70 billion over the cap and trying to restructure every single year. That should give you a giant hit. The Saints would make a ton of sense with the potential suspension to Alvin Kamara. And then, as we've seen, Latavius Murray and Mark Ingram and everybody and their brother just comes in and look, all of a sudden they're doing what? Yeah.
I do like that idea.
You fill in the hole, and then you get the timeshare when he's back, and he's going to be the Latavius Murray market. The problem is, again, they're just trying to restructure the cap for 8 billion different ways again.
The thing is, it's like what? Best case scenario for him, Jake, is he's an RB2. That's what he was this year. He was an RB2. He averaged 11 points per game. Very touchdown dependent. 17 catches. 17 catches this year.
I think that was the biggest surprise.
77. It's Pollard. When you got a guy who's explosive as Tony Pollard.
Yeah, if I would have told you guys at the beginning of the season, I said after CeeDee Lamb, their second most valuable receiving option is Dalton Schultz, and then a mess. We would have, even if Tony Pollard split, we would have all taken the over on those receptions just because he's done it so much in the past.
47 in 2021, from 47 to 17, and it's not like he missed a lot of time. He missed 2 games. He didn't get any targets, 23 targets, right? And they're probably going to
Dak for most of the season.
And they're probably going to get another wide receiver. The one thing I will say, Schottenheimer, the new OC there, whether he's calling plays or McCarthy's calling plays, he does. And we don't have too much recency bias, but the last time we saw him really was Seattle. And what did Seattle do for years? They just ran the rock. So I think that's still the game plan. I think Dallas could look back at this season and say, we were really good when we had Cooper Rush. Now, Dak is better than Cooper Rush, but they simplified their offense. They leaned on the run. They used both of these guys. They leaned on their defense. They didn't have a capable quarterback that could just chuck 40 times. They ran the ball and they played really good offense. And then when Dak was under center, they threw the ball a little bit more. There was turnovers. I think they'll go back and lean on the run game a little bit, which could benefit him, but he is not the same type of back. If they bring back Pollard with Zeke, it's just best case is RB2. I just feel if he was my third running back, I would feel good about it.
Third running back. All right. So I got a pair of running backs that are similar, Lauren, not in style, but scenarios. Breece Hall and Javonte Williams, both coming off huge season-ending injuries. I can say that properly.
I forgot all about Javonte Williams.
A lot of people have.
I was like, oh yeah.
And when I did my dynasty rankings on The Athletic, I had him as a low-end RB. I had him like 8, 9. And people were like, wow, so low. I'm like, so low, we don't know what he is. And we don't know what this team is. We don't know if he's the only option. We don't know if he's coming back 100%. It's like, it's funny. Everybody who came after me for Cam Akers, and rightfully so, are like all of a sudden like Javonte Williams, he's going to be 100% fine. That's so as of today, knowing that Sean Payton is headed to Denver, hopefully we have some gas left in the tank for Russell Wilson. As we talked about on the quarterback show, if you missed that one, Javonte Williams, decent amount of layoff here, like should be fine, but so should Breece Hall. Breece Hall would have been in that rookie of the year conversation, probably even would have won it over Garrett Wilson and Olave and all the rest. So if you're thinking today a lot of unknown scenarios as of today. Which running back would you rather take the gamble on having the bigger comeback year from injury? Is Breece Hall or Javonte Williams?
That's such a tough one because I do love both of those players. So this is like asking me to choose between my two children.
Sophie's choice. The Sophie's choice segment of All in Football.
Like this is so difficult. I would be thrilled to have either one. I am going to play devil's advocate here and answer your question, even though I don't want to, and just say no. I want both. Deal with it. I'm gonna go Javonte Williams, and the reason I'm going to lean that direction is because I think what Sean Payton brings to the table is this like weird infusion of like goodness. Not just goodness as in I'm a good person and a good coach, but like goodness as in I'm good at the sport, and he
loves candy.
Players play well. So I believe in a solid bounce back year for Russell Wilson. That's a nice check mark for Javonte Williams. I believe he will be healthy. He's going to have plenty of tread on his tires for which to grip and rip and score lots of touchdowns. I'm gonna go Javonte Williams, but I would be thrilled to have either one of those guys.
Yeah, I'd be thrilled with either one too. I mean, you could take both the way that they're going to fall in draft. So this is probably not ideal to have two backs coming off an injury like that. And I think more significant for Javonte than Breece Hall. Like Breece Hall, from out of his mouth, he's ahead of schedule. He's going to be ready to go. And I think Javonte will as well. But I do believe his.
I mean, what player has ever been like, you know what? I'm not on the schedule.
I'm behind schedule. I'm behind schedule.
Take a break.
Probably won't be
There's
ready.
There's someone for you who says it a lot.
Yeah. It's Breece Hall for me, though. Just think I think he's slightly a better pure runner, very explosive through the air, just like Javonte Williams is as well. I know that the Jets want to run the football, and that's going to be their game plan to run the rock, but it's really close. I have both of these guys as top 12, actually. I'm probably a little bit higher on Javonte than most people. I have him at number 12 in my way too early rankings. So I do like him, but I would imagine Denver brings somebody in. There's not going to be just his backfield. They're going to bring somebody in. I don't know. Is Chase Edmonds still under contract? But they're going to have somebody else there. It's not going to speed.
Hunt. You're like,
maybe, and that would stink for Javonte. That wouldn't be great for Williams. That
would be the Sean Payton MO, is bringing that kind of the Mark Ingram, Latavius Murray's. Like, there you go.
Absolutely.
And no, I think Kareem Hunt's better than that, but it's still point being made there. Yeah. I'm going to slightly lean with Lauren as of today because I'd rather have the who do I add question mark than who is my quarterback question mark as I knock my mic away. So that Jets quarterback.
Fair enough. That's a good point. Javonte, man, he had like a 9-catch game last year too. He is a really good back. They're both good backs.
I think, like Lauren said, I think a lot of people have forgotten. It's been because it's a lot removed from our memory. So let's I think this might be the last topic, question mark, but we'll see. These three, Chris, you'll see why I'm bringing them out together. Mm-hmm. These veterans, they're at these points now. It's that cuspy point of their careers.
Ooh.
And passing on them all.
Yep. Nick Chubb. He has no Kareem Hunt as of right now, but as this team has shown, we've been saying for years, let him do more in the passing game, and they don't.
Yes.
So Nick Chubb, Joe Mixon, I brought him up earlier, is the fact that the Bengals might cut him, might stick with him. Who knows what's happening there? Great situation if they keep him, but also not a ton of use in the passing game. And just these past 2 years showed how touchdown reliant he can be, going from RB2 to RB13 on that. Or Dalvin Cook, who is hurt for the 8 billionth time, had surgery, is going to supposedly be fine, but Alexander Madison is a free agent as of today. So you have to pick only one. You can't be like, I could get the next one in the next round after. No, you can only get one. It means you can't get the other two. Who's the only one you're taking as of today, Chris?
Nick Chubb. I still think he's the best pure runner in the NFL. I think he's amazing. And yeah, want him to catch a few passes. I don't know. Maybe he will. Week 18, caught 5 passes. Am I hanging on to just 1 week? I don't know. Maybe. It was a new offense. It's a new quarterback. 6 targets, 45 receiving yards, and a receiving touchdown. Are you kidding me? Yes. I was at a Nick Chubb Cleveland game.
Josh Jacobs finally did it after years of being like, use him in the passing game.
And it's not like he can't catch. I mean, I go back. There's no time to go back. But 2019, I think I was at a game, and I remember before they brought in Kareem Hunt, I actually brought up the game log. Look at these games: 3 catches, 4, 4, 3, 5, 4. Like, he can do it. They brought in Kareem Hunt, and then Kareem Hunt is a really good pass catching running back that he just played third down situations. Think about how great of look at these seasons from Chubb: 1,400 yards, 1,500 yards, 12 touchdowns, 8 touchdowns. Those are rushing numbers with Kareem Hunt. coming in sometimes and stealing goal line touches and red zone touches and third down touches. I'm sure they're going to draft a guy, a third down back. If it's a rookie, not worried about it. If they bring in a veteran back who can pass catch, I'll be slightly worried that they're just not going to give him that role. But he's still an amazing running back behind a good line, good quarterback. They're going to make some moves. They're going to bring in a wide receiver. It's Nick Chubb, and it's not even close for me over the other two guys.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as you are, Meaney. I do have the slight concern with Deshaun Watson because he does use his legs. And also Deshaun Watson kind of has this perception of not passing to his running backs. That just has not been his MO. But I don't think Nick Chubb needs as many looks in the passing game to be very fantasy relevant, high fantasy scoring. If it's there, great. If not, And if Deshaun Watson does run, it does take away a few of his running touches from Nick Chubb. That just means that he's going to last a lot longer into the season and hopefully not get hurt any sooner, which is the biggest problem with Dalvin Cook. No, thank you. And I would not even want to look in the general vicinity of the Bengals RB1, of whom I will not name. I gave him one chance, screwed it up. Never again. Done.
I think they cut him just on his off-field issues.
They should just on principle. I'm sorry. Not happy with the first off-field incident, but you know what? We all make mistakes. People change. This time it's just like, I know that that's not everybody's thing. And it's like, it's hypocritical for me to, like Tyreek Hill and all that stuff. I get it. Okay. I get it. This is my own personal thing. I'm not looking anywhere near the RB1 for.
Let's be honest too, Jake. He wasn't efficient last year mixing as a runner. He had a 4 or 5 touchdown game. If he didn't have that, he wouldn't have even came close. He caught a lot of passes, but he wasn't great between the tackles, and the offensive line wasn't good either.
No, he looked slightly above average at this point. Like, honestly, different styles, but what was the big difference between him and Zeke? Like, let's be honest about it. I don't see Cleveland getting into anybody above Kareem Hunt in free agency, that being Barkley, Jacobs, even David Montgomery, Sanders. Yeah. So let me throw out a couple to you to see if this changes your opinion, because all we're talking about is like, can you imagine? I think we all agree if they draft a 5th round pass catcher, first of all, 5th round running backs in general, not a huge hit rate of involvement. Yeah. So anything day 3, which is also 4th round, but you get my point. Day 3 pass catching only running back, like even Kenny Gainwell wasn't used consistently as a rookie. So
not much at all a rookie.
No. Jamal Williams, free agent. No, because that's just a similar style. You're not going to bring him in. So let me throw out 4 names. And all 4 of these, let's say that's the free agent they bring as a complementary piece to Nick Chubb. Does Nick Chubb fall behind, let's say, Dalvin Cook? Because I think we're all out on Joe Mixon. So before we get out of here, if the Cleveland Browns signed Devin Singletary, Rashad Penny, healthy, Alexander Madison, or stole the Samaje Perine, all pass catching options, all strong pass catching options, would Nick Chubb go right back into an equitable conversation of Dalvin Cook for you, Meaney?
I think the one name that really sparked like a uneasy feeling as Samaje Perine. Like he's proven over the past couple of years is that he's good in pass protection and he's a good pass catching running back. I mean, he's played some significant roles over the last 2 years for this Bengals squad, but all those other names, I don't think, like Singletary, it would bother me. Yeah, of course, if they brought in Singletary and Madison, like I wouldn't
still
feel
take
great
Chubb
about
over
that.
Cook and Mixon. Obviously,
I would. Yeah,
but this is just versus Cook now.
Yeah,
okay.
I would. Yeah.
I'm still saying with Nick Chubb, even with any one of those 4 brought in the offseason as the tandem running back, I still would take Nick Chubb.
I don't know how many people watching us are new or haven't been, for fantasy football only the past few years, NFL in general, but holy crap, let's remind everybody, Nick Chubb exploded his knees 15 ways in college. Like imagine if there was another threshold to what he would have been. But anyway, if you want to imagine doing really well.
And people say he wasn't good with Deshaun either. Sorry, I'm done. You guys got me going.
I know.
He wasn't good with Deshaun
Watson. Of us
what
go,
do you even mean? Like 99, along. 92, 104, 77 yards.
Oh my God, you're such a nerd. Your stats away.
6.4.
But your stats away.
Don't be a nerd.
Can't do it. Like
this is how you make money. Which what I was about to say. This is how you do well in your hockey bets and everything. If you want to go over and follow Meaney at FTN code all and get you 20% off, make sure you're checking Stepmom Lauren out and everything at Stepmom Lauren over at FTN. The athletic stuff is over there. You click on any of the fantasy baseball draft kit is open. Option? Question? What's the word I'm looking for? Available? Set off? Now? Launched? Released?
Live?
Blasted? home runs.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. By the way, home runs. Vladimir Guerrero. That wall came in. By the way, and that's his. That feels like the David Wright. Anyway, I'm sorry. Anyway, shifting the walls. Anyway,
put your stats away, Jake.
What a nerd. Put your numbers away, dude.
Statcast, everybody. Anyway, we'll back next week. We're going to talk breakout, rebound, or letdown because I wanted to include breakout into that. We didn't get to these running backs for next year.
Yeah, those are fun.
That's next week. Running backs. A lot more talk. We love you guys. Subscribe, rate, review. As the YouTube people will say. Goodbye. Whatever.
Rodgers Center, Dimension Wall.